What's going on?
You know, last episode I was accused of being a radical leftist, but
Not you, Moss. Come on.
well, I'm really not a radical leftist. I admit to being left of center, but I'm really not a radical leftist. I admit to being
Oh,
left
yeah,
of center, but
that's way out there.
I'm really not a radical leftist.
She's a member of an organization that I became a member of before I found out better.
I'm really not a radical. And the Democratic Socialists, really, the difference between them and the revolutionary Marxists is they don't believe in revolution. They believe in having elections bring about Marxism. And I am not. I haven't read enough to know that I'm totally not a Marxist, but I don't much like the way Marxism goes when it gets power. So
yeah, it hasn't worked out thus far.
well, thus far it usually gets hijacked by some totalitarian asshole, and people still think that's communism, and it's not. But oh well. Like I said, we're streaming. I think, and I am not.
We are streaming.
And Norbert's gone.
Looks like he put his hand over his camera.
Yeah, we're still getting a video feed. He's just not wanting to see whatever it is he's doing.
Cruising the porn sites again, Norbert.
Gosh sakes. For the sake of your soul, lad.
Oh, it went from bad to worse. I see things haven't changed.
God, let it go, Norbert.
Or hold on tighter, depending on what you're looking at.
Depending on your perspective.
Right.
God help us.
Oh God. Yeah.
Which one did you have in mind?
Oh gosh.
Oh.
I think you're trying now.
Yeah, religion and politics. We're looking to hammer it today, huh? All right.
Where the hell's Joe?
Religion, politics, and sex.
Oh, yeah. There you go, the trifecta.
Is Joe not going to be here?
Didn't say.
He sent me as his emissary. We're good.
Oh, you. Oh, well, is this by seeing you on here right now? Am I to assume or hope at least that you're going to be on any of the shows in the near future?
Oh, I
Josh?
just had a few minutes. I'm actually wrapping up vacation. I thought, I haven't seen the guys in a while, so I'd hop on. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have anything to add to these conversations, but I'm here.
Imposter syndrome is real. It really is. When you don't think you seriously have the chops to be on a show like this, or any show, but I noticed that sometimes you can just fake it till you make it.
Oh, man. Story of my life.
It's not like the Supreme Court where we have real imposters.
Oh, God, jeez. I'm not doing this with you, Moss.
Oh, my.
Hey, remember this face? Remember 7 weeks ago this face was totally naked?
Getting ready for Christmas?
I think so. They got the elves busy.
Yeah.
Why am I thinking Bad Santa?
I haven't watched that. I probably wouldn't like it. Most comedies I find puerile, to say the least.
Yeah, well, then you wouldn't like that.
No.
I like good comedies, like Galaxy Quest.
That is a good one.
We have lately been binging comedies. Will and Grace, Dharma and Greg.
I love Dharma and Greg.
Modern Family. Just Shoot Me. We were amazed we liked that. It's funnier than hell, even though it's not a subject either of us is interested in.
What's that one about?
It's about a fashion magazine.
Oh. Yeah, that's an interesting premise.
It's funnier than hell. They got David Spade on it, and
is that the one that had oh gosh, the guy from 2.5 Men?
No,
He was on the last few seasons.
Well, I haven't seen the last few seasons yet. We're binging it from the start. Yeah,
that was good old late '90s sitcom.
Yep.
Early 2000s.
And we can watch them all on Hulu.
Yeah, Hulu. Hulu's the only place I can get Dharma and Greg, because something happened towards the end of that show, and Jenna Elfman was in a lawsuit with the studio, and so they never released the last 2 or 3 seasons on DVD.
God, she's beautiful.
She's like 9 feet tall.
Yeah, I know. They have to keep putting her husband up on a step in the kitchen or something.
But she must have been a Chuck Lorre favorite, though, because she was on 2.5 Men for two or three episodes.
We've also started watching Neighborhood, which is fairly recent.
I don't know that one.
It's a white couple moves into a black neighborhood because it was the only house in the area they could afford. And being completely plastic white people that don't have any idea what went on in that neighborhood before that, but they're still nice people, and they're trying to. And their next door neighbor is the actor is Cedric the Entertainer.
I know that one. Yeah. Cool.
For that matter, the white woman was on Two Broke Girls.
Not the blonde one.
The taller one, yeah.
Was she on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I watched Two Broke Girls for a while. That show started to spin around and round and round.
So like I say, we like well thought out comedies, especially ones that are actually funny.
That is...
I saw Mel Brooks had a birthday.
Well, Mel Brooks is about half the time really a genius, and the other half the time I could throw him away.
Yeah. I loved his comment on Twitter. He said, I just turned 96, but I don't feel like it. He said, I still feel 95.
Yeah.
Not a day.
Well, you got to give him Blazing Saddles. You got to give him Young Frankenstein.
My favorite.
You've got to give him the original producers. I haven't seen the remake.
I saw a TikTok where it said Blazing Saddles edited for 2022, and it showed the beginning sequence, and it went straight to the ending sequence.
Yeah, that's about all I can do.
And how many memes have come out of Spaceballs? You got to give it the tip of the cap.
No, I can't stand Spaceballs.
Really?
It's just too cheap. The humor is just too cheap. It's like Prince of Thieves, Men in Tights.
Men in Tights was
that movie did not have to be made.
I felt like I was being made fun of watching Men in Tights, but
hey, Respawn.
Good evening.
Hey, Spaceballs though didn't take itself seriously at all, but you like humor that is you got to be kind of sharp to catch up on it, is what you're saying.
Oh, that's British humor.
Well, not necessarily. Now, some of these shows are British humor. Yeah,
Family Guy.
Well, I don't really much like Family Guy. For that matter, I don't much like The Simpsons, even though I know they're really good.
Simpsons have been around a long time.
Oh, yeah. I've been watching that since I was a kid.
Well, see, when I was in Denver, we had a little cartoon strip done by Matt Groening, and I didn't think it was all that funny, and then they paid him lots of money to make The Simpsons.
Well, I'd say at least commercially it worked out for him.
Yes, it did.
I don't think he's sweating the electricity bill.
I mean, I like the Orville, but I like it much better after they decided to stop being a funny show. The first 3 or 4 episodes of the first season, they were trying so hard to be funny Star Trek.
Yeah.
Also considering that Matt Groening went on to make 2 other shows. The latest one in the past 10 years or so. So it's still going well for him.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys happen to go see the new Top Gun?
Nope.
I got it on the Jellyfin server if you want to watch it.
It was awesome, man. I'll tell you what. I thought.
Well, I tend to not pay money to watch Scientologists do movies.
I've heard this is pretty good, though.
The best part of it, Moss, was there were no agendas in it. Because I'm really tired of both sides cramming agendas into movies, and it was just a good old, like the 1980s action flicks.
Oh.
It wasn't trying to hammer something into your head.
I get so irritated at that crap because... And it always starts an unnecessary argument where you say, oh, God, there it is, shoved in our face again. And then somebody says, what, you got a problem with gay people in movies? No, stupid.
It's just the ham-fisted approach that they take to whack you with.
They go out of their way to make sure that you're aware that...
When Ellen DeGeneres had her own comedy show, the first 2 or 3 seasons were really good, and then she came out publicly, and after that every single show was about her being gay,
right?
And
I don't think they're doing themselves, the people within that context.
I probably like gay movies more than you do. I mean, Priscilla, Queen of the Desert is a classic. I
have absolutely no trouble with... okay, how does a guy like me say this without sounding completely disingenuous? I think I said enough about it. I just don't. I don't.
People,
right? For the sake. Don't make me a show. Don't make me a show. Just for the sake of having people with an alternative lifestyle, and then criticize me for not watching that show because it's a piece of crap. And I say it's a piece of crap. Why is it a piece of crap? Because it got gay people? No, it's a piece of crap because it is a pretentious piece of shit. It's got nothing to do with what kind of people are in it.
Right, it's just bad content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Will and Grace is gay as it gets, but it's funny all the way through, so...
Right, yeah. There's nothing that... It just doesn't need to be added in there, I think, to... add or detract from the show. If you want to work it in, whatever.
I never felt like Will and Grace was the kind of show where they were shoving it in your face. And as a result, it did well in a time when people were not quite ready to have it mainstream yet. Like, interesting tidbit here. The movie Matrix. That character in the original movie Matrix, Switch, that was originally supposed to be a character that was male in the real world and then female in the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they went to make the movie, the bean counters told the studio, I just don't think the world's ready for that yet.
I think the natives are coming for me. We've got rolling thunder outside.
Done it.
Wow. Yeah.
I hope we keep power.
We've been lucky. We had a real bad storm about 3 weeks ago. Took down a lot of trees. 98-mile-an-hour winds at the airport.
Ooh.
And
you weren't driving in that, were you?
Damn.
I was in Missouri the day that happened. And the wife never called. I mean, they came down here to the basement during the whole thing. We never lost power. Trees down all over the weather is strange. Trees down all over the neighborhood, right? Everybody's trash cans still lined up along the street.
We have had a few seconds long power outages the last few days, but seconds long is okay. Not like South Africa where they're having 4 hours on, 4 hours off.
What's up with that?
Terrible.
Is that
I don't know.
Are they intentionally doing that, or?
I don't know, but if Londoner can get on today, maybe he'll tell us.
I did not.
Is that where he's at?
Yeah.
And then I've got another Eric the Unready who passes me the news for Full Circle Weekly News. He's in South Africa.
I love that name.
He said it's usually so bad that his UPS doesn't have time to fully recharge.
Oh, wow.
Yikes.
That's terrible. How about you, Norbert? You guys having any problems over there?
Not really.
He's in the Paradise EU.
No, I mean, even considering the EU, Hungary is in the middle of the Carpathian Basin, which is basically surrounded by mountains, the Alps on the west and the Carpathian Mountains on the east. And we pretty much don't get any earthquakes, any, seriously bad storms. Sometimes there's a bad storm, maybe once every 2 or 3 years, but
yeah, the worst storm you've got is the president.
You call that a storm? I call it a nap.
Good one.
Correction, Prime Minister.
Prime Minister, okay. Yeah. Top dog.
Our president is actually, well, a president is not the head of the. The president is the head of the state, but not the head of the government. And we now have our first female president, which is exciting.
But let me ask you a question here, because I've been severely out of the loop. Is there anything big going on in Linux? Because I just haven't been listening to anything.
Spiral Linux. So we mentioned that last show.
It's summer, so
Spiral Linux.
Nothing much going on.
The guy who made Gecko because it was too hard to load SUSE made Spiral Linux because he was afraid SUSE is changing their policies and going to totally revamp the distro to where it's something else, and B, he likes Debian too. So he is geckoizing Debian and calling it Spiral Linux.
I don't know. Okay. Did you hear about the NVIDIA thing?
I don't know. What is it?
Which NVIDIA thing?
Yeah. Well, they're open sourcing. They're making a kernel module. Well, I think they have made a kernel module and open sourcing the driver.
They're still leaving large chunks of it are going to be closed source still.
Yeah.
They're just putting
but it'll be more akin to the situation with the AMD driver.
Right. That'll be nice if they can get to that point. Yeah, absolutely. I heard right now it's more of an enterprise type of thing. It's not really going to trickle to the desktop.
Well, I mean, it's being, I think the main driving factor is the machine learning and all that stuff. But Red Hat has got a direct hand in all this.
No, so that's good.
That's like the biggest thing I think that's been in the Linux world. Unless I'm completely spacing something off.
Well, the proprietary driver is also
Mint is close to beta.
Because
Mint.
My GPU is not at all supported by the new open source kernel modules, which I think aren't even ready for everyday use.
What GPU is that, Norbert?
1060.
Oh, that's not exactly brand new or anything.
I know, but it's a trusty old 1060.
They're great.
I think still a lot of people use it, and I through a couple of hoops using the AUR, I managed to get Sway working on it with the proprietary drivers, which I've been trying to do for months. And it was one of the things that, yes, you can now run GNOME Wayland on the NVIDIA drivers, and I think you can do it with KDE as well, but they're buggier if you were just using it on AMD or Intel. But the problem is that the window managers that are using a completely different implementation of Wayland than GNOME is, support for those had to be implemented separately. And I think in the past few months, NVIDIA finally added support for those, but I was still unable to start Sway. But then I tried to build it.
That's with the Nouveau open source?
I'm not talking about Nouveau, with the proprietary NVIDIA drivers. The fully closed source ones. And
then there's sort of Joe.
Kind of Joe.
Yep, there is. So I think even without NVIDIA open source,
don't drive and stream, Joe.
It's looking good.
I do it.
Yeah, and I'm not in a 10-ton truck.
10? Try 40.
Okay, yeah, you know what I mean there.
Is that metric tons or the other kind of tons? Because I'm always confused because there are two kinds of tons.
80,000 pounds is the max.
TONS, not TONNES.
So, hey, John, did you see the stream on the last episode, 390?
I did, and I've been completely disconnected, man. I'm out of the loop.
We did it totally on Video Ninja.
Oh, how'd that work out?
I'm letting someone else answer that.
Well, we just
so
in and we did it. So
I thought it was fine, and the video quality was considerably better.
You got to take the time.
Video quality is better, but the audio issues and just this. It takes a little bit of setup to get used to it. That's all.
I've got everything scripted, so when I do the streaming, it's all really easy and not a problem. But last show, I couldn't do the streaming, and Joe had to do it, and he was trying to get everything up and running at the last
minute.
You
were on vacation.
Yeah, I was on a staycation, let's call it.
Yeah.
And Joe was trying to figure it all out on the fly, and it wasn't really working out.
I'm the greatest. So you guys gonna continue to use it, or are you jumping back to Discord?
I think we're gonna stick to Video Ninja just because the video quality is really 1,000 times better.
You've got no padding between like right now we've got the padding in between all of our video feeds. Video Ninja will literally take up the entire screen and it's just it places them right next to each other.
I will say that Discord does the screen sharing a whole lot better.
If you're the director, it's a little more complicated.
Yeah, on Discord.
If you're the director, you need to set up a separate stream for the whatever you're sharing, and it actually works. It's a different workflow. You got to get used to.
Right.
No, you can share, but the quality is much less.
You've got there's settings for
share.
that.
I tried upping the settings for the screen share, and it still just looked blurry.
Wasn't you when we were doing the interview with Steve? Wasn't it you that was sharing the show notes that day?
Probably, I don't know.
And that was actually working pretty good. So I don't know what we were doing differently.
Someone other than the director really needs to do it. Because I had them both open. I had the director one, and I had the another one.
So that's two separate.
But yeah,
streams.
it's way sharper. And
OBS didn't want to act right, and I had to just set it up differently than what you were saying in order to be able to get the correct audio out. But I got it to work in the end.
So better than Jitsi?
Well, Jitsi has some pretty terrible limitations.
Right. Yeah, that hour-long.
Yeah, well, that's if you're using their streaming service. Now, if you're piping it through OBS, you don't have that problem. But you got the same problem. Okay. You got the same problem with Jitsi that I've got with this, where right now you guys are looking and seeing anything that's written. You guys can see it correctly, right? But I'm the one that's streaming this off to. I'm the one that's streaming this off to YouTube. So when you look at the YouTube video, this will show up backwards. So anything.
That's an easy fix in OBS.
Yeah, don't they have like
I'd have
a
to
mirror
turn everybody backwards then.
No, you could just turn your own. It depends on how you did it. If you were streaming your own image separately, then you could do it with just yours. Or if you were using OBS as your camera, then you could do it.
Yeah.
There are multiple ways that it can be done.
The problem with that is...
you could do it from Discord and tell Discord to flip your image.
Or you could just use Video Ninja and use proper open source software to make your show.
Yeah. The other thing is, like it has been pointed out, Discord is not open source.
Yeah.
Video Ninja is.
And it wasn't made to make podcasts with. I mean, we're just shoehorning this in to...
Hey, Josh, hear that? That's called rain. It's water falling from the sky.
What is this you speak of? This foreign entity.
What is this? What is this thing? Water from the sky?
Yes.
Oh, so you Americans
witchcraft?
Just think you've got it all, don't you?
What is this witchcraft?
What is this unwanted
What
hubris?
is this witchcraft?
Witchcraft. Witch!
Next thing you're going to tell me that snow exists. Get out of here.
I'm sick of these lies.
Wait a minute. You guys are calling me a witch?
Damn.
The fact that I'm the only third degree in this room.
Excuse me, warlock.
No. Warlock means oathbreaker.
Oh, see?
Wizard.
Thanks for the clarification there.
Yes.
Expect
the people we got rid of.
Awesome.
However, some of them decide that they really were doing the right thing and try and teach other people their wicked ways, but no. A male witch is a witch.
Anything on Linux Mint 21 yet? I haven't bothered to check the blog.
Yep, the beta's out next week.
Oh, cool.
It's going to look different.
It's close to beta, yeah.
Nice.
I was hoping it would be the final version would be released in June.
I'm hanging around.
They also had that
Mint.
They also had the out of memory issue that they decided to just leave out instead of struggle with it like Ubuntu is.
Oh man, yeah, Ubuntu's on a roll with struggles lately. Yeah, that out of memory thing. I did hear about that.
I feel like they might be having a staffing issue with people with real serious chops that can make big decisions, you know.
Well, they've certainly been bleeding some pretty big names
That's why
over
Mint
the
has
last year.
backup.
Well, that's why they're trying to go public, so Mark can dissociate himself from it.
Yeah.
Josh, are you back on the show?
Oh, I was just dropping in to say hi today because I hadn't seen you guys in a while. So, as far as coming back, I don't know. I mean, how are you doing staffing-wise?
We had 3 last episode, and we didn't even make it to an hour and a half.
Oh, man. Okay.
It was all uploaded in one. It wasn't split at all.
Well, what are you saying, Josh? You felt like you weren't contributing as much?
Oh, no, I've been busy doing other things as well, you know, but I left because, the work situation. Right. But with the economy going the way it is right now, it looks like taking a big leap. I'm just not confident in that. So it appears I'm sticking around where I'm at for now. But, yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of...
Yeah, as I was saying, I'm going back to my substitute teaching job. I don't know how many days I'll be able to do, but...
Right.
Are you good with kids, Moss?
A job that'll let me move to the Northwest.
For the most part.
Oh, my wife wants to move to another country. She's got a list of places that are paying people to move there.
Oh, my.
Holding off until 2024 for that one to see who wins the presidency. If it's Trump again, I'm going to go be a Canadian.
Trump again. There's no way... Okay,
yeah,
I know.
Well, I'm worried about this election in 2022 because that will set the tone for the next one. And it will also mean, if it goes the way it normally does, which is the party that is in the presidency loses sufficient seats to lose control of the Congress, then...
all but guaranteed, Moss, I think. I think people are looking at these fuel prices. Biden is not going to be able to
get anything done just like he has been.
I think it's...
What are you voting for this year? Senate or House?
House is every 2 years. Senate is 6 years, but they're split up, so it's a third of the Senate runs every 2 years.
So,
and then the president is every 4 years.
It depends on your state for the Senate.
And then there's also state legislatures and whatnot. And local.
But, it's really not uncommon for presidents to lose, seats during a midterm election, no matter how they're performing.
Yeah, but they don't have a lot to lose in the Senate.
So, have we picked a topic? Because I assume it's not, government.
Hey, when we opened up, we were talking abortion. We've gotten better.
Yeah, it's politics and abortion, Joe.
God, make it stop.
Don't you know we've been asked not to put our political views on the podcast?
Who asked us that?
Us.
Didn't you listen to the last episode, guys? I got blasted for being somewhat to the left of Stalin, yeah.
Really? Wow.
And
I saw one dude take it.
I kind of went off a little bit. Not a lot.
Well, both of us were very reserved compared to what we wanted to have done. Yeah.
I got on TikTok and did a couple of rants.
And don't do that. Don't
do that. Well, good advice, Norbert.
Too late. Too late.
Get on TikTok. It's going away.
Next episode, I'll just play a bunch of my music.
Are you aware that TikTok is a Chinese service that is explicitly banned in China because the Chinese government knows that it's bad for people, so it's trying to protect its own citizens, but it will happily have other nations fall under the effect of it?
I look at things like TikTok the same as like a big old fat cheeseburger. Do I know it's bad for me? Yes, I'm well aware of that.
I literally
that's
have
really
stopped
all I got
looking
to say. Full stop.
I have stopped looking at Twitter from the time the Supreme Court screwed the nation up last week. I stopped looking at Twitter.
Here's my question:
It was going crazy, and it was too much stress.
I never really looked at Twitter, and Trump's not even on Twitter anymore. So
you could be forgiven for thinking that this is the first Supreme Court to actually do anything in a very long time.
Oh no,
because nobody ever talks about them until now. And
I long for the days of my youth when Earl Warren, who was an ultra-conservative California governor for 3 terms, got named to the Supreme Court, and all of a sudden the Warren Court is being slammed by the right as the most liberal court ever. And the court used to change people. People would get on the court and they'd rule according to the law. According to
you lost me at Californian conservative. I have no idea what those 2 words together mean.
Well, you weren't around when Earl Warren was governor, and I wasn't either. He was on the Supreme Court by the time I was old enough to know who Earl Warren was.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I just purchased a firearm, and boy, it was painful.
In California?
Yeah. Oh, God. I'd never purchased one for myself. I went and got a handgun.
Did you keep the flaming hoops?
Oh, man. You betcha, Joe. It's and forget CCW. Just forget that. I'm going to an open carry state.
Josh, you do have to remember that Reagan was also governor of California for a couple
I do
of terms.
remember that. I do. Yes.
Warren was to the right of him.
I was not aware of that name, actually.
Well, he was Chief Justice of the Supreme Court for most of my growing up.
Wasn't he the one that headed the investigation into the Kennedy thing in the 70s?
The Warren Report, yeah.
Yep.
But the guy was to the right of Ronald Reagan, and when he got to the Supreme Court, he looked at the law, and that's all he looked at.
Well, that's all they're supposed to do. They're just supposed to say, okay, is this thing constitutional? And if it's not, then they're supposed to be the mechanism that strikes it down. Which I guess it's arguable that their argument does hold some value. My question is, why now? After all this,
when every one of them went to Congress and lied between their teeth, saying that's established court law, and we have to base our judgments on that.
Well, it was based on a bad case, is I think the problem. You know, that lady came out. What was her name? I can't remember her real name, but the lady identified as Jane Roe. Step up and said she lied about the whole thing. So you had a law or a constitutional.
You also have to understand how massively incapable the individual states were in those days, arguably still are, at objectively handling a decision like this. So somebody on the federal level had to step in, whether they could or not. It was one of those things where let's do it, and if it sticks, it sticks, and it did for 50 years. So why is it so important to fix this now?
Oh, their argument against it is logical. That doesn't make it right.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Their argument against it is based on their religious views, which should never have come in.
But their religious views aren't mentioned in the rebuttal. The rebuttal is entirely, this should be states' rights, and so that makes this governmental overreach so bad.
And Clarence Thomas says that every other decision in the last 50 years is overreach. Everything except for Loving v. Virginia. He didn't come out against that one.
Oh, gee, I wonder why. For those that don't know, that's the law that allows interrace couples to marry, and he just
there were laws on the books against interracial marriage, mixing the blood.
And he's married to he's a African
very rich white woman,
and he's married to a white woman, and that hits too close to the wheelhouse, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Surely there are no actual laws in place against interracial marriage, right?
This is a complicated place, America.
Yes, it is.
And disclaimer: this is coming from someone who is not familiar with American politics, but wouldn't it make sense for some of the seats on the Supreme Court to be decided by the people on a majority vote? Because, like you say, the Supreme Court is supposed to keep
The Supreme Court is supposed to be beyond mob rule, which is why that it's the people that we elect that put people in to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, and then they've got a long. It's supposed to be a process where they're grilled in front of Judiciary Committee. And
the last three candidates were not grilled appropriately.
Well, they were. They were just friggin' liars.
But then you end up in a situation
when the American Bar Association says in one particular case that the guy is not qualified in the least, and all he can do is sit up there in his hearing and talk about how much he likes beer, this is not someone that should be on the Supreme Court.
And I think what you're saying, Norbert, is that it ought to be as democratic as all of the other.
And until a couple of people decided to take over, essentially, it kind of was. You know, you get that balance between the two parties when there should be more. Yes, you got that balance between the two ideologies in the Supreme Court, and then a couple of people decided, hey, we're going to tweak things just a little bit and say, well, that Democrat can't put in anyone at the end of his term. But a month before the end of Trump's term, we're putting somebody in tomorrow.
Yeah, and they literally said when they blocked Merrick Garland's appointment that we could hold them accountable for it if they tried to do that with the next president. And we held them accountable and they said, oh, well, so what?
We are the land of say one thing and do another.
Well, we're not truly a democracy either. We're a representative republic. So, like Joe was
we always were
to.
a republic. People throw the word democracy around a lot, but we are a republic.
I only use the word democracy when I'm directly referring to the concept of voting people into office. Beyond that, we are not democratic because our
But we almost weren't that with the 2020 election because the man in power wanted to stay in power and he didn't give a damn about the Democratic vote.
Yeah, anyway, so Linux.
Oh, God. I
tried to talk about Spiral Linux. How come you shut me off?
Because I don't know anything about it, so we shouldn't talk about
Not
it.
Not only was he trying to take over the election, he was trying to get rid of term limits, too, if he got into his second one.
I'm still thinking about that cheeseburger.
I'm going to get one, dude. I'm going to go to Red Robin or someplace.
Man, I'm hungry.
Big old beer and a...
Oh, God.
Guys.
So my big question about the Supreme Court is that if the
damn it, Norbert.
Yeah, okay.
Norbert,
I got to know this question though.
Last meeting, Norbert tried to talk about term limits for the Supreme Court.
Yeah,
people vote the politicians into office. The politicians vote the Supreme Court members, but then you end up with the situation where there's a government, but the Supreme Court members were put there by not the previous government, maybe the government before that. So it's like it's a
no, it doesn't make sense.
Well, it's democracy through proxy. So you're supposed to elect someone, on a statewide basis that reflects the ideal of the constituents. And
if they.
But they get bought off.
Let me also state this government was instituted over 250 years ago. At that time, people did not generally live past age 65.
And let's not talk about gerrymandering.
Oh, yeah, the gerrymandering, the district.
As a person whose given name is Gerald, I try not to use that term.
Oh, sorry, Moss.
Your name is Gerald?
Yes.
Oh,
I was wondering.
When someone talks about
it
politics,
gets worse. My middle name's Lawrence.
Starts ringing.
Right. Well, it could be worse. I'm a Joshua Houston. How's that?
Houston.
Yeah.
So that's a middle name.
We have a problem.
It was almost my first if my father would have had his way.
I made a joke, Josh.
Ha! Moss! I mean, Gerald.
I'm slow.
God,
yeah, maybe that's what they were thinking when I was coming out. Oh, God, we got a problem.
Gerald,
Yeah.
All right. So topic. I do have that guy from Switch to Linux. He's agreed to an interview or whatever. But can we get that lined up by
this guy? That's Tom.
Is that him? Yeah.
Yeah, I just picked up this book on
let
Amazon.
me see the subtitle on that again.
Yeah, he's a Christian.
Now Jesus conquered my soul.
I forgot about that.
But I bought it because this is more of his biography, the religious aspect. Everybody's got their views. I'm not going to fire shots at him for that. But I just kind of want to read about his life. I'm a fan of his channel. So.
Well, I think the reason that I didn't think about that is because he might mention that he leans toward family values in that, and he watches things and doesn't watch certain things because of the content.
Well, you're right. He keeps it pretty well isolated because he has his own Christian channel that he leaves all that for, and he tries to separate that out onto that. And he knows the majority of his audience in the tech space.
And then the show after that will have to get Aaron Ra
on. Yeah. He's Seth Andrews.
Or Holy Kool-Aid.
Dillahunty.
Get Holy Kool-Aid on. He could probably talk about Linux a bit.
There you go. So, yeah, but that would be cool, Bill. It would be great to have Tom on. He's a character.
Let me see. I will, first thing Tuesday morning, I will get in touch with him and see if he can join us Saturday. And then... I
haven't seen a bunch of videos. What is it? Just a general user space centric channel? I mean, is it a channel about
he talks about all kinds of stuff, tech related, but he bangs on quite a bit about using Linux Mint.
Yes, he does. That's his main production.
We can use Bruce Coburn's "Wondering Where the Lions Are" for background music for that.
Boy, you are trying, aren't you?
40 grit sandpaper on Moss today. Boy,
yeah, I tell you
he's working it.
He is lit like the 4th of July.
This is coffee, I swear.
It's going at it.
What else is in there?
Popcorn. Are they chips that taste like popcorn?
Yeah, I've had those before. They actually taste pretty good for a while, and then you get tired of the taste after a bit. It's a very different taste, but it's good for me. I can eat about 2/3 of the bag, and then I get tired of it.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah,
probably,
because I got a big old.
They also have flavored ones, and they're good too.
Watching the show here.
I haven't met a bag of potato chips that I can say no to yet, and it shows.
Well, those aren't potato chips; they're corn.
Oh, are they corn?
Yeah,
there he is.
They're actually made out of popcorn.
No,
is it? Oh, so it's not potato chips flavored like popcorn. That is flavored like something else.
It is popcorn ground into meal.
Okay.
And so it has the flavor of popcorn, but it's a chip, and it does puff up a little bit in the baking process.
So it's similar to. Sometimes I have rice chips.
Yeah, he's showing us a chip.
Practically the same.
Yeah, looks good to me. I'd eat it.
I could tell you from driving truck and hauling in and out of some of these food manufacturers, it's probably best that most people don't see how the food they eat is made, because if you ever did, you probably wouldn't eat it.
Well, I haven't bought Purina pet foods for a long time because I worked when I was working at Michelin back 15 years ago or so, maybe 20 now. A person I was working with, one of the engineers, had been an engineer at Purina, and she said that a substantial portion of the protein in Purina pet foods is from chicken shit.
Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite.
Let me tell you something. A substantial portion of it in your Campbell's soup is from chicken shit. So use that as you will. And it's all bleached.
My dad won't drink from a soda can because he used to work at the Pepsi canning facility like 50 frickin' years ago. Absolutely refuses.
I'm the same way with milk.
What's the rationale of that one, Joe?
Oh, he won't explain it.
He won't explain it.
I would love to hear about that.
Oh,
but maybe the process also changed since then.
It's interesting Moss brought up Purina because I've hauled a lot of Purina out of Iowa. And actually, animal food processing factories I have found to be cleaner than the human food factories.
I can believe that.
That Purina plant in Clinton, Iowa is not far from Muscatine, Iowa, where we get Heinz ketchup. And that place is a shithole. But that Purina plant, everything is beautiful, pristine, shiny, stainless steel.
Yeah, we've switched to Sir Kensington's ketchup.
Yeah.
I don't know where it came from or whatever, but it's almost organic ketchup.
My wife picked me up some G. Hughes sugar-free ketchup today, so I'm going to be giving that a try again.
Nice.
And we're also stuck on Duke's mayonnaise.
I've had that.
I recently discovered
G. Hughes has.
that whenever craved like just cola or any other kind of soda, I can substitute that with just lemon water. I just squeeze half a lemon into a glass of water, sparkling water, and I just drink that without any sugar added. And it's a great substitute for when I, for some reason, want to drink.
This
like
is that. Yeah, carbonated lemon water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But what Norbert's... Oh, God. Joe, you're going to be passing a kidney stone. That stuff puts me in the hospital. That stuff is no joke, dude.
Yeah. We're going to see Joe start vibrating pretty soon.
Is that an energy drink?
What you got?
What
is that?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Beer.
Oh,
beer?
This is the opposite direction.
Yeah.
No, NOS will give me the shakes, and it's about the only thing that will.
Red Line. You ever had Red Line? That stuff will get your heart palpitating. Oh.
No, I can't see the brand. It's not clear enough.
Screwball.
Oh, did you get some peanut butter screwball?
Yeah.
On my recommendation? I love that.
No,
I tried that, but it's only, 31%?
Only.
You know, it's so tasty, who cares?
35.
35? Well, see,
it mixes good with anything.
I went with the
it's
duck.
Straight, too.
Yeah, I just poured on ice.
What's the brand I've been drinking? Duck something?
In fact,
Bird Dog.
I just happen to have an empty cup.
Bird Dog. All their flavors are 40%.
Things are about to get interesting on the mintCast channel.
Oh, it won't be the first time I got lit on the Roundtable.
Oh, man, no.
I really love the Bird Dog peanut butter, but their blackberries to die for.
I was thinking when I bought this, hey, I wonder if I go and get some grape soda and mix it with this, if it would taste like a peanut butter jelly sandwich.
You got to do it chaser style.
Spoil alert, no.
Bill,
you can't mix them together. You got to do it chaser style.
Oh, I didn't think of that. Yeah.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Cheers.
Good idea.
So, Moss, going back to Spiral Links, have you tried Titan?
I have not heard of Titan. What's Titan?
That is sweet.
Titan's by Matthew Moore, and he's got another partner in it whose name escapes me at the moment. But, yeah, it's a Debian-based distribution with a customized KDE desktop.
Well, what he's doing with Spiral Linux is he's trying to make it easier to install and get sane settings. But at the end of the installation, you've got Debian, and you're using the Debian repos. He's not doing anything out of the normal, not setting up his own repos, but you can use any desktop with it.
Is it called Spiral? As an
a bit like Endeavor.
Yes. Just one. Well, the second L is the L in Linux.
Gotcha.
Spiral Linux, and he actually he sent me an email. I thought he made it sound like he sent it to all of us.
He did. I got it too.
Wasn't that a cool email?
Okay, so what I like about
this is
this
that you should email him back and see if he wants to do an interview on the show. It doesn't have to be the next show since we might already have an interview lined up.
He does try to stay anonymous, so I don't know that he will.
Try anyway.
He doesn't have to turn his camera on.
We're almost anonymous.
So yeah, I did write him back, and I also covered Spiral Linux in the next edition of Full Circle Weekly News, which should come out tomorrow, and he thanked me for that.
Here's one thing I like about this. I just looked this up. This is the first time I've looked at this Spiral Linux. It's got full ButterFS subvolume layout support with Z-standard compression.
Oh, that's nice.
In the installer, it's officially supported.
Yeah.
You know, Debian's not too bad in terms of installer. The real issue is trying to find the dang ISO on their webpage. Good God.
Well, his ButterFS support is also a hybrid. His ButterFS support is also a hybrid. He has the best aspects of ButterFS in Fedora and ButterFS in SUSE.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, when I was learning how to set my ButterFS up on Arch, I went and looked at the way SUSE was doing it because they've been doing it longer. But
so is he using Snapper on there?
That's a good question.
You know what I found baffling is that Fedora has ButterFS, but it doesn't come with any snapshotting setup by default.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, why would you use BTRFS with no snapshot?
Well, I will assume it still has some benefits like the compression and the corruption checking.
Yeah,
that's true.
So most when you say it's got the best of both worlds, can you list any specific examples of what it's? For example,
I thought we covered that in the article last episode.
Oh, I have to
pretend we didn't because I wasn't there.
Yeah. Well, let me open up the show notes.
Is this mail going? Is this email going to the vibrations? It could. Or it.
Spiral Linux. You get a live image to boot into. You get the most minimal non-free drivers such as Wi-Fi. You get ButterFS configured with both compression Fedora style and automatic snapshots OpenSUSE style, including for the kernel. You get improved font rendering. You get Flatpak support, complete with the GNOME software app, even on non-GNOME installations.
Beautiful.
Along with the extra drivers, the Debian non-free repositories are pre-configured, so more hardware will work out of the box, including VirtualBox guest support and HP printers and scanners, and they'll get updates in the future. Rather than a dedicated partition, it uses a swap file on the root drive, plus ZRAM compressed swap for low memory machines. TLP is installed and configured. But when it's all installed, you get the closest possible thing to pure Debian. I read that right out of the 390 show notes.
So this is a lot of this stuff is visibly absent in most Debian distributions.
Right.
So that's
you get Calamaris installer because he's been using Calamaris since he started Gecko.
Yeah. But Debian, if you manage to find the Debian live ISOs, it does also use Calamaris. I think my favorite bit of what you listed is having the GNOME Software Center on all desktops, because when you think about it, there is really no reason why you couldn't have that. I think I'm not sure. I may have tried to use it with XFCE. I know that Zorin does exactly that. So GNOME Software Center is basically the best software center Linux currently has. I know that's subjective, but I think a lot of people share that opinion. And to just have that on all other desktops, it would make sense to me.
Well, yeah.
Well, I would like to have Dale or Josh look at it before I try it out, because Debian is not usually my cup of tea, but Gecko is where I usually go for SUSE.
I put a link to Titan Linux in public right underneath the response.
I think you should be the one to try this.
Well, I've already got Open Mandriva rolling with LXQT for this month.
I want you to take a look at LXLE one of these days.
That's a good one.
Well, the problem with LXLE, as we've said before, is that LXDE has been abandoned by its writers.
It has not been abandoned. There's still a website. It still gets security patches when
they're
necessary.
Not developing it.
No, GTK2 is not being developed, but it is still by far lighter than anything else out there. And if you was to build...
Except Moksha.
Well, if you wanted to put a general distro on a 32-bit machine, x86 machine, LXDE is still a good option for somebody that is used to the Windows XP Windows 98 paradigm, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they were still with LXDE. I thought they would migrated to Qt.
See, I thought about that too. Like, well, then this is literally the last distro to still use LXDE as their primary.
As far as I know, the LXDE team moved on to LXQt, and the LXDE was picked up by the Raspberry Pi developers. And now the new version of Raspberry Pi OS has their improved updated version of LXDE.
They named it something else though at Raspberry Pi.
So they didn't upstream anything to LXDE.
LXDE's got a brand new website. Calling it the desktop environment for all. It's clearly a WordPress site, but
I admit it's much closer to Windows 7 than Moksha is, but Moksha is every bit as light, if not lighter.
But if you tried to do that on an old 32-bit machine, would you have the same outcome?
You'd have right now. We have Bodhi 5.1 is full, and we also have a beta of 6 for 32-bit. The beta of 6 is based on Debian.
I would like to. I wish I could get my hands on an old, I don't know, 32-bit ThinkPad or something like that, and try these modern distros that still have 32-bit ISOs.
I know Antix and MX are pretty popular for the people that are holdouts as well.
Yeah.
And speaking of MX, I still think that XFCE is one of the best middle grounds between lightweight and being easy to use.
Yeah, I still love XFCE. I like Mate.
Well,
too.
it is not as lightweight as it used to be, though. When they made it look prettier, it lost. It gained some weight.
Due to GTK3 transition.
Yes, but nothing really is as lightweight as it used to be because.
Moksha. I hate to sound like a broken record, but Moksha, you can get that down to if you don't need all the plugins, you can get that down to 100 megabytes.
Yeah, and I like Moksha too. I'll admit that it's a bit of a departure for some people. Perhaps.
It is a little more complicated, but that's the sacrifice.
Lightweight itself is very different.
Yeah.
Well, they get my $5 every month.
No, it is an excellent project, and I like using it. I've got a couple of VMs with Bodhi on it, and as a distribution, I love it.
When I
couldn't believe how good it looked the first time I fired it up. I went, "There's no way." Like
when I started getting my distribution from my mother, I started getting the inheritance money in, and I basically said, I had to beat my wife up over this, but I'm going to donate $50 a month out of the distribution to somebody somewhere. And I broke it up into $5 chunks, and I found one place would only take $10. So that means I donate it to 9 different places every month. And Bodhi is on that permanent list.
I've donated to Bodhi, EndeavorOS, Pi-hole. What else?
Well, I've donated to Mint one time, a big one time, because people had donated money to me to go to Self, and it didn't happen, and so I split it between Mint and Archive.
Mint gets a lot of money.
Yeah,
I was thinking about Mint at one time because
And I've also donated twice in $5 increments to Ubuntu Unity.
Oh, Docker. Docker's the other one I gave some money to. I get excited about something when I learn it.
You got to support that 12-year-old kid that's turning the Linux world on his head.
That's something, isn't it?
Yeah, he's a sharp cookie.
Well, I've been supporting him since he was 10. I feel like he's almost my nephew, yeah.
Yeah, he's a pretty amazing individual.
I wonder about
him on in the middle of the night, and he's a school kid.
I wonder about the emotional health of people like that, though.
That Mountain Dew?
I have seen some interviews with him, and I've talked with him myself, and he's a good kid.
Yeah. I wonder as people start to get older, when they have been a prodigy their whole lives, how how well adjusted they are into old age.
Well, see, they start out at Prodigy, and as they grow up, they go to AOL, and then eventually they move to Netscape.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man.
That was...
Going back on that
second.
one,
Let
Moss.
me write that down. Wow. Yeah,
Yep.
because I remember sitting at Radio Shack in the late 80s playing on Prodigy. Like, oh my God, dude, I'm talking to all these people all over the world, man. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in the business world, they were using CompuServe, which most people spelled with a cent sign and a dollar sign.
Yeah. CompuServe.
Oh, yeah.
Right, I'll be back
Some of
in
those
10
news
minutes.
groups
Okay.
still are around.
Yeah.
We're going to try for an interview for next show.
Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get that lined up Tuesday, because I'm not going to try to get a hold of anybody on Monday. I'll try to get a hold of him on Tuesday, and if he's not able to do it, then we can... I'll say something on Discord, and then we'll have to turn the ship on a dime, I guess.
Yeah.
I would say pick a secondary topic now.
Yeah,
just
why don't
in
we
case.
do that?
Yeah, because he also has bandwidth limitations and whatnot being out of that van now. So
Well,
sometimes he
even
runs
if
into
we
problems.
did line up the interview, you never know if the guy is just not going to be able to make it at the last minute or something. So it's better to have a backup
Yeah.
topic
We
anyway.
should get George back on.
There you go.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I'm surprised George hasn't been in contact with us more.
I was...
See
I'd
you
love to
later,
have him back
Respawn.
on.
Well, we were about ready to draft him to be on the team, yeah.
Exactly.
Has Londoner
I
been
don't
on
know
the
if he
show
has
yet?
enough time for that. Has who?
No, Londoner hasn't
Londoner.
done the show yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
He's done the Saturday one, but
I don't think he's got a lot of faith in his equipment.
I don't think he's got enough faith in the
It's
power
been-
grid.
I
was
said it
about to
anyway.
mention-
I said it anyway, Josh. I knew it. I
Well,
knew
he's
it
not
wasn't
the
going to
only
go
one.
well, but I said it anyway. God.
We're the only two laughing, Bill. I think.
No,
that has
I
to
got
do
it.
with our
I got it. It
profession.
took a little while.
Oh, if this would have been the other
I mean,
show,
here,
we'd be...
here we are all talking into our...
Oh my!
phallic representations.
feeling
Yes.
feeling threatened by that thing, are you, Moss?
Moss, your microphone is awful large.
That's an awful large
Hey, it's not the
microphone you
size that
got there.
counts.
Oh God!
It's what you do with it, you know?
My wife
Oh,
said
so we're
as
going
long,
to the motion of the ocean argument.
my wife said as long as it's attached to me and reaches her, it's long enough.
Oh my!
I said, bless
you
you,
guys are
dear.
horrible human beings. Just so,
Damn
just so
mosquitoes.
you're aware,
Oh my!
you
Oh,
guys are horrible human beings.
Thank you.
yes, thank you.
Appreciate that, Joe.
Yeah, best compliment I've had. Well, probably in a month.
Lord have mercy. All right, so secondary topic.
Microphones.
Is that a euphemism
More
or are you talking
euphemisms or,
microphone?
We'll bust the tape measures and have an alarm and just, you know.
you're getting awfully preoccupied with size there, Joe.
Oh my! Oh my!
Yeah, I am not a size
You were the
queen. I
one
go
talking
for
about
cheap.
the size of Moss's microphone there.
Well, you know, Moss, he's a hell of a guy, you know.
Yeah.
I get the most out of my equipment, you know?
God, you
Yeah.
can't even see that whole thing. It's extending all the way off camera. Oh, yeah. Just wanted to make sure.
Oh man! I need to go to the restroom. I'll be
Good Lord, man.
right back. I can't wait.
It's the special silver tip that makes it work.
Maybe
yeah.
we ought to get an OnlyFans page if it's that easy.
Oh my gosh! If
It
someone
makes me
would
wish
pay
I
me
still
to
had
do that.
It makes
Maybe.
me wish I still had my big red mic out here. But it's
Oh.
currently inside.
Yeah, he's got a big
That one's got girth.
Oh, hey.
Oh man!
That's what
Yeah,
it's
they don't
about.
call him the beer can for nothing.
That's
folks,
right.
let me tell you.
Beer can Bill.
We got to get a woman on this show. This is getting
so
too
bad.
hard.
So bad.
God, they're even worse.
Yeah, actually, it could go off.
Especially when I get a couple drinks in them. My sister, sometimes I got to leave the room because it gets offensive.
I think Norbert did. I think he had enough.
We left before we started talking about fun stuff. So
I think we lost our other friend too.
Yes,
All
we
right.
did.
So let's come up with a secondary topic so we can get out of here.
I did suggest one. You guys just laughed.
Say it again.
Microphones.
Oh, I've only got this one, so I'm really not a huge.
We've had shows talking about our equipment before, trying to keep it clean.
The microphone you have, the Q2U, is better than the Yeti. It is.
I'd have no problem.
Yeah, this one is much better than the Yeti. I always complained that my audio sounded a lot tinier than everyone else's when I had that Yeti.
Yeah, no, I've been pretty happy with this Q2U. It hasn't given me any problems.
I don't see any reason.
I still have the Yeti. It's over here in a box.
No.
What did that cost you?
The Yeti?
Yeah.
It was a gift, but I think it cost her $105 at the time.
Ooh.
Yeah, I knew they were over 100, but
how much did I pay for this one? This one was pretty cheap.
It sounds good too.
It's a CAD audio, and there are some people that rave about them, and there are some people that say they're pieces of junk, but it's worked for me.
Oh, it sounds great.
Yeah.
The Q2U, I bought this in a set, but I don't think the microphone by itself is even $40.
60. It's 60.
Yeah, I think they
Is it
went up.
60?
Yeah, they were like 60 or 70 now, but they used to be a little cheaper than that.
Yeah.
Isn't there a
You can catch them on sale. But
this particular model is currently $16.89 on Amazon.
I can't beat that.
Yeah,
it's a 40% off.
Was recommended by Leo. So.
Oh, I actually heard Joe Resington talking about this not long ago.
That's who I heard as well, yeah.
He said if you just want a mic that works good for podcasting, the Q2, the Samsung, and he made sure that we understood it wasn't Samsung, that it's Samsung Q2U. It's cheap and happy, is what he said, whatever that means.
Right.
Plus, if I remember right, it is both USB and
XLR.
Yeah. XLR,
yeah.
Yeah, I posted the link to this mic.
I would imagine later versions of this will be USB-C, because this is actually still the old micro, or not micro, the mini USB, like my Garmin uses, my GPS.
Mine's a regular USB-A.
Oh, the full size USB?
Yeah.
That might be more desirable.
You plug it right in.
Yeah.
I have a Snowball that's the full size. But the problem with the Snowball was it picked up absolutely everything.
Yeah, I can't have that.
Amazon actually has a quote renewed end quote model of this for $13.99.
Okay.
The list price is $28. And you just can't beat the quality I got out of this for that kind of money.
Nope.
No, that sounds just as good as anybody else's.
Well, Joe Collins, I mean, he's got a huge Linux audience. He put out content forever, and he used what is the brand, Moss?
CAD Audio?
CAD, thank you. A CAD U37. That was actually the first mic that I picked up. It's just a condenser mic, so it does pick up a lot of, background. But if you're in a quiet area,
this is dynamic.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, they have some condensers and some dynamics. This is a CAD Audio USB U1 dynamic.
Well, so what are you guys thinking for the backup topic, I guess, as it were?
I picked the last one, so
Norbert,
I'll let you guys pick this one.
All right.
What I need is an audio mixer.
We need a backup topic if I'm not able to line up this interview. What do you think, Norbert?
Is there a specific list that you're looking at?
No.
Let's do something that nobody has talked about, like Fedora.
God. It's hard in the summertime to come up with a topic that nobody else has pounded into the ground.
Right. You could do some of those Debian derivatives like we were talking about earlier.
No, let's piss somebody off and have a politics topic.
Oh, no. Oh, boy. Supreme Court, because everybody cares.
I got to tell you,
Should we indict Trump?
Yes, show over.
You know what?
Personally, I want to move to Texas.
Oh, do you really?
No, you
do
don't.
you want to move to Texas? Really?
I do.
Want to move
I'm the black sheep on here because I lean more to the right.
Oh. Yikes.
Yes.
You actually agree with the shit they're doing in Texas right now, including making birth control illegal and essentially making all women's health care illegal and have to go through an approval process before they can do anything involving any reproductive organ that they own?
Don't forget the voter suppression legislation, Joe.
And the voter suppression shit.
I was just thinking more along the lines of the firearm stuff. The other stuff doesn't really apply to me. I'm not looking to have any more family, so I'm
yeah, but you got daughters, don't you?
Yeah, kind of.
I don't have a vagina, but you know what? I got 2 daughters and a wife.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be worrying about her starting family anytime soon. Maybe ever.
5 or 10 years.
Just sterilize her now, yeah.
Well, my daughter is very young, and I am thinking hard about these things because I don't imagine Indiana is going to be a whole lot different than Texas or Missouri on any of this, because this is a red state too. Well, we lean a little bit more to the pink, but for the most part, it's still red. Hell yeah, I'll do a political episode if we can't line it up. Get somebody on here to argue with, too. I know you were, but... Well, I mean, there is this expectation for content creators to take a stand. Sort of.
Yeah, kind of.
But why is there an expectation?
I don't know why, but there is. If this is going on and we're talking about things that they think are less important, then they think that we don't care about these topics. Not everybody.
Well, we got told to not talk about politics on our Linux podcast.
Okay, but is this
makes me want to talk about politics?
Yeah, it makes me want to do it even more.
Okay, Bill. Here's a thing, not an idea, but maybe a stupid idea. You know how there's a chocolate bar called After 8, which is a mint flavored. So we could launch a second podcast called mintCast After 8, which would be about anything. But
that's what we're doing.
Essentially, we could start uploading these roundtable shows as mintCast After 8.
I don't have a problem with that. Make it raw too.
Bill.
Yeah.
Email from Tim Harless.
Okay.
I have been a long-time listener to mintCast, but here recently I have heard some comments that have troubled me. You see, I use Linux and listen to Linux podcasts to escape the political crap of today's world. I have heard several comments from some hosts, mostly Moss, that would lead me to believe that they have leftist nutcase views. See what I did there? I made it political. I am a conservative and have been ever since I grew up. He said every, not ever. But I still listen to mintCast and enjoy it a lot. I'd enjoy it a lot better without political snide remarks that demean listeners like me and other conservatives. Plainly, I do not want to hear either side's views on a Linux podcast.
So
it's really easy to keep political crap out of our Linux world. Opinions, especially political ones, are just like buttholes. Everybody's got one and a lot of them stink. So keep them to yourselves and produce what you guys are good at, and an informative, interesting show that everyone can listen to. I look forward to listening to future episodes without political remarks and hope you will take my suggestion into consideration. If not, it was good while it lasted.
That sounded like a warning.
As I type this on Linux Mint Cinnamon 20.3, I'll tell you that I thoroughly enjoy LM and have so since I first found it and switched from Windows. Good day, kind sirs, Tim.
So, okay, let's unpack a couple of things. First off, you ain't my daddy. First off, we can't honestly say that we've made it until we piss somebody off and they've written into the show telling us about how unhappy they are about something that we've done, you know. Other shows deal with that all the time. I don't have a problem with pissing somebody off every now and then. That's just a fact of life. We're going to talk about things that people don't agree with, and that's life, kids. We are still human beings, and we're living in a human world, and we have opinions about things going on, and we have microphones and cameras, so...
Well, that's the problem, really, right? It's so polarized now that people can't talk.
Yeah.
You know, you just can't have open discourse. So, like I said, I tend to be more right of most of the people in tech. So, I just don't say anything because, you know, it's just no one's going to convince the other that, oh, hey, you know, you're right. I think I'll just dump every view I've ever held and come to your side now. Right? So, we all have our views.
We do. And it's not like we've ever even made a show. We've never even made a section of the show politically charged, to the best of my knowledge. Somebody might have made a comment somewhere along the line that displayed their political view on something, and that's just human beings. You know, you can't to expect us to completely. This is my response to this letter. To expect human beings on a show to completely disassociate themselves with their political views just for the sake of creating a show that is absolutely 100% devoid of any content that might offend somebody is ridiculous. And you shouldn't expect that out of us.
We are not Spock.
So I will say, though, that in the
future...
future...
for yourself.
Yeah. Well...
Vulcan shaders? What was that?
To be fair, if we was to talk about a topic and we knew we were getting into a topic that was going to be politically charged, it might be fair to give a disclaimer in the beginning. Okay, just a little warning, you know, it's about to get real... it's about to get real political. So if you have a trouble with that one way or the other, then maybe skip to the next episode or something. You know.
If we were to do something like that, I would want to do it factually. If we were to do something politically charged, I would just want to bring the facts, and then maybe at the very, very end of all of that, bring our opinions in. But first, we're going to start with these are the facts. This is what's happening. And then at the very end, like the last 5-minute section, we'd go through and state our opinions on what we think about the facts. Yeah. But that's what I would want.
I don't have a problem with that.
For me, it's interesting because I guess I'm really good at filtering out and ignoring political comments, even when I'm listening to something that is not political and someone makes a side comment about politics, or even when we are on the show. I guess that's because I'm not really leaning anywhere politically, and I like to think that whenever a question comes up in politics, it's just best to just to think. This might sound this might make sense, or it might sound stupid, I don't know, but I believe in common sense. And when someone... So basically politics is... I don't like how politics is bipolar. Basically you have to... People are forced to take a stand either side. People have to choose a mix of ideas and stances, even though they might not agree with everything.
Yeah, you got to go all in on one side or the other.
So I'm not saying I'm not saying I'm a centrist, because I assume a centrist is someone who just doesn't want any ideas that might be a slightly far to the either end of the spectrum. I just like to take a stance on any given topic. Sometimes my stand might end up being more left or right leaning, but there's no. I don't believe that either left or right ideologies are inherently better than the other one or best for everything. And to be fair, I kind of, on the other hand, I kind of agree with the email that with that politics should be left out of a tech podcast. I'm not saying, because I mean, for me it's easy because I don't really have feel a need to bring it up at all when there's something like that.
Yeah. Well, so
in America, it's very charged right now because the election's coming up. So I think we're kind of getting inundated with it. So it's becoming, you
almost
because
can't
we're in
talk
election
about anything
season.
else.
Yeah, everything's coming. So I think it's coming up more here than normal.
But I might also not be the most qualified to take a stance on this topic because I'm almost as far geographically from the US as someone can be. So if you mentioned that you might do an explicitly political show, that might be a show that I skip. I haven't skipped any since I was on, not because I wouldn't want to be associated with any political ideas, because I just don't feel like I would bring a lot to the table, because
you're good at asking the questions, though.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You're good at like, okay, let's come at this from the perspective of somebody on the outside looking in. Why is this way? And that's something that you really offer that none of us really can have that point of view. I think.
Yeah, I guess I could be on the show if I just present myself as to come off as I want myself to come off, as in someone who's not really devoted to any political ideas, or rather just pick and choose stuff from this side, some from that side, whatever makes sense at the time to me.
And to be fair, I don't fall on one side or the other either, because I don't agree with all this abortion stuff, but I also don't think they should take all the guns away from everybody.
Right. That's kind of where I'm at too. You take a little bit from everywhere.
That
Yeah, I don't understand why it has to be both. Why I have to be pro-choice and pro-gun law. I mean, I am pro-choice because it's none of my damn business what a woman does with her body. It's not a business owner's choice what his employees do with their bodies. But I'm also pro-gun. I mean, everybody should know how to use a gun. The Second Amendment is for the purposes of having a well-trained militia. So that requires everybody to be trained in how to use a weapon.
Yes, sir.
So is that what we want to do then as a secondary? Have we agreed on that, or?
No.
So we just wasted the last 25 minutes.
Sure.
Yes.
Well, we had a conversation in the last 25 minutes. It's not a waste.
Okay, yeah.
I also sometimes like to think about whether there's an alternative question. So, for example, the question of pro-life or pro-choice, the alternative question that comes to my mind is, can we do anything to reduce the number of unwanted pregnancies? Because prevention should be more important than solving the question. And
right. No, I agree. I agree with you. The problem is that in the state of Texas, the state of Florida, a bunch of other states, the only things they're willing to teach in schools is abstinence, and they're trying. In a lot of these states, they're trying to get rid of birth control in general, all of it.
Yeah.
That's where it gets interesting, because abstinence is really the only accepted among these people, the only accepted way of avoiding the pregnancies, because it starts to get into this territory where, if we're not for abortion, then we're not for contraception either, because that's something that is a mechanism put in between the conception of a child and the pregnancy, and in some of these people's minds, it's exactly the same thing. And so the only method of prevention is abstinence. God's sakes, I don't think that's ever worked in human history.
Being against contraceptives doesn't really make sense to me, because I guess the only way I can look at this is the perspective of a biologist, because if there's no conception, if the two cells haven't joined, then there's really no
but you're coming coming to the argument from the perspective of science.
Yeah,
and
from the perspective of science, like I said, I've heard about what is
call the fucking four corners.
Sorry?
What'd she say?
And the middle.
My wife was talking about a meme that we saw on Facebook.
Oh.
Okay. So so I think when an abortion, where the line should be drawn to where abortion is allowed and not allowed as a per request, I think it should be based on brain activity, because I've heard about something that they're calling the heartbeat laws, because essentially that they're saying when the fetus's heart starts beating, it should be recognized as a person from then. But it's really, the heart is just an organ that's pumping blood. It's not really, doesn't really have to do anything with being a person. Like I said, it's
said at the start of the show, if we're dealing with religious freedom, both the Catholic Church and the Jewish faith does not see a fetus as a person until it takes a breath out of the womb.
And for that matter, they don't really delineate, because contraception still gets in.
We're not supposed to be giving precedence to one religion or another. So the Supreme Court should have stayed out of it.
Right.
May I interject for just a moment?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Norbert. I was looking. What do you guys think about email clients as a topic?
I don't use them.
I just use the web UI for everything.
There's been some interesting talk lately about.
Yeah, you got Thunderbird 102. You got it combining with K9 Mail on Android. So
I've tried to set up K9 Mail on my phone, and I was unsuccessful in doing so.
Me too. I got my Hotmail to work on it, but not my Gmail. Certainly not.
I got Postio and Gmail on there.
I can't get Toot-Nota. My problem is I like Toot-Nota and Proton Mail, and you can't get either one of those to.
I think
we just got a comment from Rodzilla360, who we also read an email from last episode. And he says, I heard the letter about the political stuff being read. While I hear something from time to time, I don't think anyone has gone overboard with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so question I wanted to ask. So you said the Jewish church and the Catholic church don't recognize fetus as a person until they're born. Is it the same with the Reformed churches?
I do not know.
Okay.
Well, the thing...
I've studied all the churches, but I've forgotten a lot of what I learned.
So as far as I'm aware, most churches in the U.S. are Reformed churches and not Catholic.
And when you say Reformed...
Protestant.
Protestant.
Sorry, I mean Protestant. A Reformed church is one of the Protestant churches. Yeah. So my question is, are these the same people who are against contraception?
Well, the fun thing was that when Roe v. Wade happened, the Protestant churches in general were in favor of it. The evangelical churches in general were in favor of it. It's only when they decided to become political with their religious agenda that they decided that that's a fulcrum issue that we can make some hay with.
Yeah. And I think their problem is that they're afraid that contraception, while it's chemically dealing with the pregnancy before the two things come together, yet it is still an interference, either with, can I use straight language here, the sperm or the eggs. It's still a chemical interference. Oh gosh, try to stay away.
That was a shocked look, Bill. Shocked.
Yeah.
But
gosh, you gotta.
Yes, but if someone takes contraceptives, they probably do it by choice. So how is it it's an intervention, but how is it different than...
I think we shouldn't have the choice.
Let me say the one thing that hasn't...
How is it different than just refraining from sex, which is also... So both can be abstinence, but both can be a conscious choice.
Because
both are
you're
usually
not
a
interfering
choice.
with a sperm or an egg doing the thing that it was naturally designed to do.
I will also point out that God decides whether or not you're pregnant. God.
Most of these states
God is an awesome God, I know.
Hello. Most of the states passing anti-abortion laws are also including ectopic pregnancies in that. And this is what happens when men get involved in things they don't know anything about. Because with an ectopic pregnancy where the sperm is fertilized and it's still in the fallopian tube and it is not going to drop, the only options are the baby dies or the baby and the mother die. And they're still including ectopic pregnancies because they don't know what it means.
I really, really hope that a lot of...
So is that basically just an extra wait, what's the adjective for womb? So basically when the embryo stays in the fallopian tube, or conception happens in the fallopian tube. Fertility, okay, sorry. Yeah. Oh, these words.
Ask the Catholics about the rhythm method.
Basically, if it becomes pregnant and it has not gone into the uterus and attached to the uterine wall, it's not going to be viable anyhow.
Yeah.
But if it keeps growing in the fallopian tube, it'll rip the mother open.
I really
There's
hope...
going to be intense internal bleeding. The mother is going to die if you don't get that fetus
I'm being naive here, I'm sure, but I really hope that a lot of the things we're hearing about medical professionals losing their license because they refuse to do the abortion on these topical pregnancies are propaganda. Because propaganda is a tool of the righteous and the malignant.
Well, the ectopic
alike.
pregnancy portion is already in the Missouri and Indiana law.
Okay, so what does it say?
It says you cannot abort an ectopic pregnancy. It's one of the things you can't abort.
So that goes
you can't
against
abort
the
anything.
Hippocratic Oath. First do no
Absolutely.
harm.
Absolutely.
So I'm wondering then, because here's my thing. Things can only get so dystopian before, on a human level, people just stop enforcing it.
You think?
I still want to believe.
Have you watched Handmaid's Tale?
Yes, I do actually, and that's been my point. I mean, Texas has gone. Anyway, I want to believe in humanity. I choose to believe in humanity. I believe that in the beginning, when things are first, people are starting to try to understand and put together a new way of dealing with something, that there are some bumps in the road. And then I want to believe that people get these things figured out. You know, I'm probably being naive, but when it comes to things like 12-year-olds getting raped by their uncles and fallopian tube pregnancies, you know, it is obvious to any well-meaning human being, to any good person on earth, that this would be, if there is to be any gray area at all, these would be situations that would fall firmly within that category. I want to believe that's true. So I'm hoping. Indiana is still not taken a stand, as far as I know, completely the way Texas and Missouri has.
Well, the Indiana law is almost identical to the Missouri law.
Yeah.
And that's because Mike Pence.
Yeah. Problem is old people.
Meanwhile, Illinois is posting billboards at their borders saying abortion recipients welcome here.
That's the good thing about being in Indiana. We're not surrounded by blue states, but
you've always got Illinois.
We're within an hour. Well, in Fort Wayne, I'm within an hour of a blue state and a couple hours.
There is actually a Trump-supported candidate for governor of Illinois who thinks that Yeah. Well, one of his stands is that Chicago should be made a separate state. Just get it the fuck out of
why?
Illinois.
Because the whole rest of the state could vote red, and if Chicago votes blue, they go blue. Illinois is an interesting place because of that. Because Chicago is so big and so populated that they literally, and Illinois is not a small state.
Well, Springfield's kind of blue.
But Chicago is just so massive, or what constitutes the Chicago land area, meaning Chicago and then all of its suburbs. They've got enough population density to where they could literally sway an election.
But that's also 90% of the state's tax base. So get rid of Chicago, you're broke.
Yeah.
Kind of blue. Was that a Miles Davis reference?
What's that?
No, it was not a Miles Davis reference. Okay. I understand.
Not like I'm old enough to actually have heard it, but you know about that record.
Well, most young people don't know who Miles Davis was.
Yeah.
Yeah. But surely there are different laws for rape, right?
I think Bitches Brew came out when I was still in college. And so that was back in the Pleistocene.
To answer your question, Norbert, it's not real clear at this point. You could have a situation where somebody rapes 12-year-old girl and they would be prosecuted for rape, but at the same time the girl gets pregnant by this guy, she would be forced
and
to
the
carry
rapist still has full parental rights, which the girl doesn't.
Yeah, these things are handled completely separately because they're, in the courts or in the law's eyes, which the law is an inhuman thing sometimes. In the law's eyes, the fact that this guy raped this girl is not necessarily a depending factor on whether or not he would be a good father for the girl's child. And as ridiculous as that sounds, these are the...
There was a case just recently. Jackie shared an article with me, or it was a video, where a girl got raped by a 32-year-old guy when she was 16 years old. Had a baby. Everybody thought it was her boyfriend. Comes back 16 years later and finds out that the baby is his. He took the kid, had a paternity test, verified that it was his, and instead of going to jail because it just got proven that he raped a 16-year-old, because the state that it happened in, it was illegal to have sex with someone under 18 if you were over.
But there's always a statute of limitations on rape.
Oh, there is.
There might be a statute of limitations, but he took the baby and she has to pay child support.
She has to pay child support.
A 16-year-old kid now. Why is he not in jail? For ever? No, he gets to take the kid and collect child support.
My question was more like, if someone is raped, then do they have more rights to an abortion than someone who was who had an unwanted pregnancy?
The states that are taking abortion rights away believe that the mother does not have any say in it, whatever, that without the father's permission, even if it's the rapist, she cannot get an abortion.
Their logic is, no, it is not the mother's fault, but it's also not the baby's fault.
Well, to be fair, what Roe v. Wade did was just it threw it back at the state. So each state's going to be able to regulate themselves as it wasn't originally. It's a federalist issue now.
The repeal
so
of Roe v. Wade
each
that's what he meant.
Each state will have their own set of laws with very individual, loopholes or whatever.
Well, they're clearly not capable of doing it objectively.
The fun thing is that Florida does have a privacy provision in their state constitution, and their courts have judged that that abortion is legal under their privacy laws.
I'll say here in California, absolutely nothing changes. It's staying exactly as it always was.
Yeah.
I believe California, Oregon, and Washington have aligned themselves as in putting abortion in the constitutions to make sure.
My question is, why is it any of the government's business what goes on between a person and their doctor?
But couldn't that be argued either way, though, Joe?
Until 1974, men could still dictate to a doctor a woman's health.
Yeah. Well, technically, in a lot of cases, in a lot of states, they still can. But that's besides the point. Now, what was your question?
I mean, should they say one way or another? Should they say this should be constitutional and absolutely everybody should have access, even though that violates some people's, belief system? Should it be a federal issue? Is I guess what I'm asking.
In my opinion, the only time it should be a federal issue is if we actually have universal health care paid for through the government.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh gosh.
The rest of the time, it is between a doctor and a person, and it's nobody else's business. That's called HIPAA.
It is.
Unless HIPAA can be overridden by law enforcement.
It shouldn't be, though. I mean,
it's a messy issue. It really is.
They can use that.
Is it any of my business what pills you take?
I thought Messi was a soccer player.
Is it any of my business whether or not you
well
get a
played as
vasectomy?
usual, Moss. No, you're right. As long as a crime has not been committed, because that's where we run into the trouble. Is okay, yeah, HIPAA is a thing, but if somebody goes to a doctor, the doctor somebody correct me on this, or at least lead me the right direction. If somebody goes to the doctor and they're not at that moment ready to press charges on rape, and they go to the doctor and they tell the doctor that they've been raped and they need a rape investigation, is it incumbent at that point upon that healthcare provider to report that rape to authorities?
Well, let me play a little devil's advocate
in most
too.
of these states like Missouri, Illinois, and Texas, it's incumbent on the doctor to force the girl to say who the father was, regardless of the situation.
But let's remember, too, that these are very much
father.
edge cases. We're talking about 98, 99% are not that.
Sure,
98, 99% are being used as a form of...
I think America works for all the people, or it works for none of the
course,
people.
Of course.
Most people that complain about abortion only complain seriously about late-term abortion, like third trimester abortion, which is less than 1% of all abortions.
Agreed.
And are usually medically constrained, because if you make it all the way to the third trimester, that means you're trying to have a baby.
But some politicians are now arguing, any time, no limitations.
But see, because I am male, because I agree with that, doesn't mean a diddly squat.
Yeah, that is true. I mean,
because males need to have a say too, because you're on the hook for 18 years if you, of child support if you're.
No, Joe's got a point there. We're entitled to an opinion, and yeah, and I haven't brought it up before for the exact same reason you just said, Moss. My opinion, I never want abortion to be an accepted method of contraception where, oops, I got pregnant, go get an abortion. Oops, I got pregnant, go get an abortion. I never want something like that to become an accepted normal thing in society. But I think it's for the edge cases that we need to make the language clear that when you fall victim to something that would exacerbate your situation, like a rape or like a health threatening situation, like a top pregnancy, then there ought to be legislation in place to protect you.
Common sense.
First, you have to put into place more easily accessible and, if not free, then extremely cheap birth control that is easy to get to.
Yeah.
I mean, you used to have condom machines in gas stations where you could walk in, stick in a couple of quarters, and get a condom. You don't see that anymore.
Well, vasectomies for all.
Okay, you're a trucker, so you've seen a whole lot more gas stations than I have.
It's awfully sleazy, but yeah, it's out there.
Yeah.
Those things are really tight, too, by the way.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be. It should be easily accessible. You should have more forms of male birth control than just a condom.
Yep, exactly. Pills for my man.
If they had a pill, I would have took it a long time ago.
Women's
exactly.
The whole abortion question is trying to remove women's health care altogether because that's what it's accomplishing, even if that's not what they're saying.
Even condoms are not 100% effective.
No,
they don't want mothers to have prenatal vitamins. If the government's going to pay for them, they don't want them. They don't want food for the babies. They don't want food for the mothers. They don't want food for the kids when they come out. They are not pro-life. They are pro-birth.
I just imagine
that's a good way to describe it.
I just imagine this past 10 seconds of Moss talking as a pre-intro segment for an episode of mintCast.
No.
Do it.
Sorry, no.
I'll hang myself after that.
Absolutely not. I just play with the thought of just taking this whole stream and editing it down maybe to 40 minutes and having it as a show topic, but absolutely not.
But Bill is absolutely right. Abortions should not be your first go-to. Abortion should be that last option.
Maybe
that comes along.
But we need clear language for the people that are victims.
Well,
this
anyhow,
I
think us men have spent too much time talking about things we can't have.
Yeah, I got to get off.
And I am going to go ahead and take off.
All right.
Well, there's a lot of Linux news here. I was seeing GNOME 43.
I put some stuff in the show notes.
Start posting ideas for a secondary topic since we didn't get that covered.
Yeah, Kernel 518. There's
stuff. I guess abortion is our secondary topic, Joe.
I recently moved to
let's abort this roundtable, shall we?
Okay. Sorry.
Go ahead, Norbert.
I'm going for a mercy killing. See you guys later.
I'm trying, Norbert.
I started a subscription for ProtonMail because I wanted to try it, and at the same time I made a list of the stuff of the subscription services that I'm paying for. I realized that I'm paying a lot more than I thought, and most of them, like half of them, I didn't really need, so I cut down on the list. So maybe subscription services in general would be a nice topic.
Oh, that is something I could talk about.
So which ones do we have? Which ones have we used? They're not using already. How to manage your subscription services? Just generally about everything about subscription
what kind are you talking about? Are you talking about strictly like tech, or are you talking about entertainment? All of it.
Any online service that you're paying for. For example, I have I have Tidal, which is music streaming. I have Google Drive, which is 100 gigabytes per month for little. I think around $2 or so. I also have ProtonMail, so it doesn't have to be entertainment. It can be anything like a VPN, anything that is a monthly or yearly paid for subscription.
That's actually pretty good because I'm getting nickel and dime to death by all these little services that I.
Oh man, that was supposed to be the savior, and it wound up being our damnation.
We ended up getting exactly what we wanted.
Yep, a la carte.
It could be even stuff like Patreon, so anything that is a recurring payment.
That's a good one.
I mean, we got tired of cable, so we all cut the cable, and then all these internet service providers ended up in the same thing, and we're hoping that eventually one day they bundle them all together.
Well, we didn't cut shit. Right. We just undid the coaxial cable and plugged in an Ethernet cable is all we did.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well done.
That'll work.
Well done, electorate.
Well, folks, whoever made it through all this, you deserve a medal or something. But
sorry.
All you're going to get is a big fat thank you from me and the crew.
Mm-hmm.
We do it for your love. We really do.
Write us in. We'll send you a cheeseburger.
I'll send you a coupon.
Right. You got a million Carl's Jr. one sitting on the table somewhere.
All right.
Should I start filling out the show notes for this, or is it? Are we going with the subscriptions?
Well, let me try to get the interview first, and if I can't get that going, I'll let you know by the end of Tuesday.
Okay.
So
it doesn't hurt to fill out the show notes with this current topic that we're talking about.
Yeah.
We could always move it to the next set of show notes if we need to.
And we could always.
So if you're inspired right now, do it right now.
Yeah. Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
All right, kids. I'm gonna stop the stream.
Sounds good.